The Old West. Sure, it was known for men in white hats stealing the hearts of the ladies in the local towns, but also brutal gunfights, theft, and terror on the prairie. One such incident involved a whole family of serial killers in Kansas who robbed victims who stopped at their tavern for a quick meal. This family is confirmed to have killed at least 11 people, though some suspect many more. Who were they? They were the Bloody Benders, and their case disturbed the entirety of the Old West. Let's talk about it. So, who were the Benders? The Bloody Bender family arrived in Labette County, Kansas in the late 1870s. The family consisted of four members: John Bender, his wife Elvira, or Elmira, depending on who you ask, their son John Jr., and their daughter Kate. Little is known about them, but some say they were German spiritualists. Even before the murders, it was clear that they were not popular with their neighbors. The old man was a repulsive, hideous brute without a redeeming trait, dirty, profane, and ill-tempered. Old Mrs. Bender was a dirty old Dutch crone. Her face was a fit picture of the midnight hag that wove the spell murderous ambition about the soul of Macbeth. Young Bender, seen when excited, recalled the grave-robbing hyena at once to mind. Yikes. Not exactly popular with the neighbors. But what the community would learn is that they had every reason to fear and despise the Benders after they opened their tavern along the Osage Trail. The tavern quickly became a popular stopping point for travelers as it was located in a remote area and offered food, lodging, and, of course, alcohol. However, the Benders were not just serving meals and drinks, but death. It has been suspected that the daughter Kate would distract men so that her parents could poison them and have them sit in a special chair that was over a trap door. After they poisoned their victim, they would spring the trap door, causing the person to be injured, only for Kate's brother or father to beat, shoot, or stab the person to death. The Benders' first known victim was a man named George Launcher, who disappeared in May 1871 after staying at the Bender Tavern. Over the next year and a half, the Benders murdered at least 11 people, including men, women, and children. I mean, they were not discriminatory. They typically lured their victims into their tavern with promises of food and lodging, then killed them and buried their bodies in a nearby orchard. The town became suspicious that a killer was on the loose when they found the body of a man only identified as Jones, who had been beaten and had his throat slashed. Guess where he had last been seen? Yes, Jones was last seen going into the Bender Tavern. Soon after, more and more and more bodies with similar injuries began to appear, and with the area being so isolated, they began forming vigilante groups to find the killer. Many were questioned, some very harshly, but all suspects were released. In November 1872, the Vigilance Committee became suspicious of the Benders when they realized that all of the victims were known to have visited the deadly tavern. They decided to investigate, and soon they discovered the Benders family's graveyard located in the orchard. They also found a number of personal belongings to the missing travelers, including jewelry, clothing, and money. The settlers immediately notified the authorities, and a posse was formed to arrest the Benders. However, the Benders had already fled their tavern. They were never caught, and their ultimate fate remains a mystery to this day. The Benders seemingly disappeared, and they have never been heard from. Many women have been accused of being Elvira or Kate, but no arrests have been made. Now, there is a lot of misinformation floating around about the Benders. For instance, many claimed Kate had psychic powers and had acted like a siren to attract men to their tavern of death. Some say they were caught by the vigilantes and executed, but this has never been confirmed. The Bloody Benders became a legend in their own right at a time when the Old West was opening up. The investigation into the Bender murders was one of the most high-profile criminal cases during that era. The case was widely reported in the newspapers, and it generated a great deal of public interest, which, like the media today, focused on the more sensational aspects instead of the 11 victims that were killed by this family of psychopaths. Because of the fallout from the crimes, the Bender murders also had a significant impact on the development of law enforcement in the American West. The case led to the creation of the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, which was one of the first state level law enforcement agencies in the United States of America. It is still in operation to this day. What do you think happened to the Benders? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you liked that video. If so, be sure to like, share, and subscribe here at StudioJake After Dark. Don't forget, you can support me on my locals community. The link is in the description. And don't forget to ask, what happens when you turn out the lights?